T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show. Music, comedy, and conversation featuring HB, the Honey Badger.
Honey Badger don't care.
Now, on with the show.
This is Radio Free Roanoke, and this is episode number 67, T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show. HB, this morning I was eating breakfast, and a guy said, "Where are you going to do an interview today?" And I said, "Well, guess what? We're going to do Crafteria." And he said, "Oh, I've heard a lot of good things about that." So we've got Hillary and Mark here to help explain what all this Crafteria stuff is about and learn everything that's going on down here at Church Avenue, 16 West, I believe.
Looking forward to learning everything I can. It looks like it's going to be a great venue here.
Well, we got Hillary Hardison.
That's correct.
Sales and event champion. We got Mark Ferguson, one of the co-owners.
Correct. Thank you so much for having us on the show. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Well, my friend told me this morning he's heard a lot of good things. I've heard good things. But tell us, what is Crafteria? Is that a new concept?
You know, it's a borrowed concept. It's been done in lots of other cities, but I've not seen it in Roanoke before. It has two really big components. The front of the house is a maker's market. And anybody who knows this building at 16 West Church Avenue probably knows that it was once an S&W cafeteria, hence the name Crafteria. We're taking handmade crafts and putting it in a former cafeteria building. We've got work from about 60 different makers, and it ranges from pottery to hand-blown glass, to woodworking, to handmade cards, to lots of different kinds of gifts. We also had small batch food that's made within a few hours of Roanoke. So that's one big component, and that's really where the public is able to access these really beautiful things that are made locally, in the Roanoke Valley, right, or across the larger region. Yeah. The other big component is our community kitchen. So it's a former cafeteria building. It has a very large kitchen in the back, a professional kitchen. Food entrepreneurs can become members of Crafteria, and they gain access to that kitchen. So if you have a food truck, or you're a caterer, or you make some of those small batch foods that we sell, you can actually create them in the kitchen back here at Crafteria.
Now, how would a person access that? What would be an example of somebody who would use your community kitchen?
Right. Well, you know, a great example is Storied Goods. The owner of Storied Goods makes little flavored sugar cubes that you drop in cocktails or in coffee, and they're amazing. They're a constant on my bar. There's one that makes whiskey taste, it's like an instant old-fashioned, and I always have that at my house. She has won lots of awards for these, beautifully packaged, and she now makes them in the kitchen here at Crafteria. So they're made in the kitchen at the back, and they're sold in the maker's market up front.
We got to get some of those, HB.
Yeah, the kitchen area and the bar, and it's huge. It's a big area.
It is. It's an enormous space. The kitchen's big enough that it has a separate hot room from a baking room. It has a walk-in freezer. It has a walk-in refrigerator. We have tons of small wares, a brick oven. In a former incarnation, there was pizza made here on site. So we have a large brick oven. We have a 6-burner stove, salamander, convection oven. So for anybody who's making food as part of their career, it's a pretty terrific spot.
Okay, so a lot of the crafts that a person might find here, they're handmade.
Right.
The food is handmade. It's regional artists or craftspeople. And then what are your hours of operation down here?
We're open Tuesday through Saturday, 10:30 to 5:30. And some folks might be familiar with the other businesses that share the building with us. It's the same building that Little Green Hive Coffee and Tea is in. Mm-hmm. Acoustic Movements is a string instrument shop. Vintage Vault sells records. I would argue the Valley's best record shop. Walk and Roll is a terrific food walk-up window that sells everything from Asian noodles to sushi. So
that's Walk and Roll.
Walk and Roll, not to be confused with rock and roll.
Yeah.
Just
a little pun there. And altogether, it makes for a really robust marketplace.
Yeah, it's an interesting vibe. And now, Hillary, you're the sales and event champion.
Yes.
I love the champion term.
I do.
Tell us what all you do here.
Okay, well, I see my role within Crafteria as kind of a liaison with a lot of the other makers to help get people in here, to create excitement through events and classes, to really just leverage that. I also, of course, am just getting to know as much as I can about the makers and their products.
Yes.
Because I've been an artist for a long time, and be able to sell them. You know, so a lot of my job is the sales as well, and I do a lot of merchandising here. So I kind of work very closely with Alex on a day-to-day basis here, doing the sales, and then creating specialty classes and events, which could be anything from a food event. So we're actually getting ready to have a gingerbread house class.
A gingerbread
so
house.
Build your
Cool.
own, decorate your own, build your own gingerbread house class that we're going to partner with the candy store. So that's an example of a food class that we might do.
Then that's the candy store.
The candy store over in Center in the Square.
Center and
Correct.
Square. Okay, I'm familiar with them. Yeah.
So, and
Nice.
then, you know, I work with some of the makers. So, for example, Storied Goods had a champagne tasting. Those are my favorite of their sugar cubes. They have the rose petal sugar cubes that you can put in champagne or lemonade. So we did that. And then I do a lot of craft and arts and craft classes. As, for example, one of the popular ones has been my Wine and Art Wednesdays wine glass, alcohol ink wine glasses. So you paint your own wine glass.
While you drink.
While you drink.
Yeah,
And we're actually
Bring
doing
your
a
own.
holiday variation is on our
ornaments. Yeah.
Facebook page now, where you drink wine and paint ornaments for the holidays. Using the same technique. We actually have a few different ornament
Yes,
classes.
we
There's the alcohol ink ornament class that Hillary will be leading, and then we have another ornament class that'll be etched glass ornaments. So it's a really wide range of experiences that folks can have here in addition to shopping.
Well, the ornaments might turn out a little interesting.
Yeah.
After a little bit of that.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
They
so
always
there's a art and wine Wednesdays. You had like a start something Saturday. Is that
Make
right?
something
Make
Saturdays.
something Saturday. What was that all about?
So the Saturdays, we really look at those as kind of being a little bit more of an in-depth class, and also usually children and adult friendly a lot of times. So coming up this Saturday, actually, we have making earrings with one of the makers that works with polymer clay, and so she's going to come in and show and work with children and families and adults and to make earrings.
And you can shape that polymer clay into just about anything, from an octopus to a cupcake, and make set of earrings, which is a great gift for yourself or somebody else during the holidays.
Yeah. Handmade.
Yeah.
For the,
Right.
as a gift.
It sounds like you pair up, or you try to pair up these events with some of your local crafts people,
Definitely.
or your local.
Definitely, and working with the community, partnering as
partners.
much as possible.
That's
a
neat.
goal anyway that we have and then we just have people can rent the space too and have events. I think we've had the Democratic group here meeting, and so using because the upper level is a really nice meeting space. So there's a lot of possibilities here.
Now, for people who've never come downtown because it's just too big, no place to park, what do you tell them?
Well, we're lucky enough to have a parking lot almost directly
Yes.
across the street, and
That's
2
right.
blocks down a very large parking garage. So, and I actually routinely find something within a block of the building on the street. So parking really hasn't been all that challenging. I think it's actually pretty simple if you're willing to be a little flexible and walk a couple blocks.
Yeah. I
Probably
agree.
no further than walking across a Walmart parking lot in the end.
Or Valley View.
Exactly.
So I agree
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
And you're right across from where the old Tudor's biscuit world used to be,
Yes.
for another point of reference. And looking down, I was talking to you about this, Mark, in the future, on the corners of this block, you've got the old Hieronymus building where they're putting in a new
Mass General Store and 70-some units of apartments will go upstairs. Yeah, it's going to be pretty transformative.
Yeah, and the Mass General Store, that's a very well-known store in the Southeast.
Yeah, so it's a small chain based in North Carolina. They're terrific. I think Roanoke's going to go wild for Mass
In
General
the
Store.
southeast of the United States.
Yeah, in the
not
southeast of the United
Roanoke.
States.
Right,
Yeah. They have everything from barrels full of candy to serious outdoor gear like hiking boots and camping equipment. So we couldn't ask for a better neighbor.
Yeah. And the other end, there's
There's a
some more,
possibility of
a hotel, or
if the bank building was going to be sold, it might be a
we've been hearing
hotel.
that.
Yeah, I saw. I just saw the article, and it said that I believe it's going to be a hotel or possibly offices. They're exploring their options.
Yeah.
But either way, you know, it's
So
more
you guys right in
people
the
in the
middle of it.
vicinity.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, and then I was down here the other day, Hillary. You had another event. It was like banjos and burritos. Was that just a?
That was a delicious event.
Yeah.
Yes, it
We very
was.
much enjoyed it.
Where did the burritos come from?
So the burritos actually came from Little Green Hive. So again, another one of my goals is trying to work with the other vendors here, like Walk and Roll and the Vintage Record Store. I have some plans for them. So, and so the banjos and burritos, Mark actually came up with that little moniker, and so we had Little Green Hive make the specialty burritos because their burritos are awesome, and then we looked for a band and we worked with Floyd Country Store to bring in a jam band.
And
We ended up with just a very successful event, and we paired it. I said, why don't we pair it with our Meet the Makers Day, our fall Meet the Makers Day, because we do have special kind of days where we have the makers in. So most days it's me or Alex that you'll see here, and we can tell you about the makers' work. But on the special days, about kind of quarterly, 3 times a year or so, we're going to have times where the makers are here, and a lot of times they're working on a product that they sell, so you can kind of really see them at work and learn more about
maybe
the product
interact with
directly.
them and learn.
And interact.
Yeah.
And so we had that on the same day as the banjos and burritos.
I
day.
like that.
It was a very full day. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Good music, good food,
Better
good
than,
crafts.
Yeah, good crafts.
Better Than
yeah.
We Sound,
Better
yes,
than we
so
sound was the band.
was the
right?
band,
We just
and they
interviewed
were
them.
great.
Yeah, we interviewed them
So
yesterday.
definitely love to have
Splendid
them back.
people.
They're terrific.
Yeah, they were. So you guys have such flexibility, it sounds like, and creativity about how you can pair things to go in here, because you've got the space, you've got the talent around you,
Yes.
and you're just constantly, sounds like, thinking of different things to bring in here.
We are, and it's a really unique space. It's very large.
Large,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, we've
I was
got
gonna
a
say.
huge amount of square footage, and some really, I think, exciting, energetic businesses squeezed in here together, which makes for a really lively market environment. And we do have lots of events. Sort of the common thread that runs through it all, it's really comes back to things that are handmade.
Yes.
Whether we're
Celebrating
talking about,
handmade.
yeah, exactly. It's a celebration of small entrepreneurs creating their own things, and we're just helping connect them to people who want to buy
Right.
locally made, handmade goods.
And right here in the middle of the space, there's many, many booths where
Right.
your
With
crafts
this stuff
people,
in
your
it.
60-plus crafts people would set up.
Exactly.
And then, like you say, HB, you could interact with them. What are some of the things, maybe some of the more specific things, I might find if
Sure.
I came in here on a special day where they're here?
Sure.
Are they making jewelry?
So
or?
yes, so we really have a diverse set of booths. Right? So we have 13 local, and those are really local, regional artist booths. And so we have anything from mosaics. So we have a mosaic artist. I mean, she makes these beautiful tabletops. She can do custom work, all the way down to coasters or smaller things in jewelry. And then we have a woman who makes jewelry out with leather and different crystal stones. She's very popular locally, the Leather Lotus. And then we have, painters, we have a crochet artist. So it's really a diverse, we just have a new candle maker out of Lynchburg that just came on. So
Do you have anybody that makes chocolate?
Oh, we have many
Whoa,
people who
yes,
make
we
chocolate.
do.
Yeah. So
That's in the pantry.
Appalachian chocolate can be found in, we call our little food area the pantry. So Appalachian chocolate is out of Shepherdstown, West Virginia, and they make really delicious chocolates, both milk chocolate and dark chocolate. And they have sea salt and non-sea salt varieties,
Sea
so a
salt,
lot of
please.
variety there.
Which are my favorites, actually.
Sea salt is yours,
yes,
really?
Yeah, we need chocolate with the sea salt.
me too.
That's terrific. So yeah, we have a couple of different chocolate makers. They're one of my favorites.
Now, how would you find craftspeople, or how would they find you to say, hey, you know what, I'd like to have a place where I can exhibit my wares and interact and do things and sell things? How would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, they're welcome to reach out to us at any point. If you go to our Facebook page, just go on Facebook and type in Crafteria Roanoke, you'll find us. You can message us there. We're excited to talk with makers of all kinds, whether you're making crafts or whether you're making food. Even if you don't need kitchen space, we sell shelf-stable food in our pantry. We also are setting up soon food walk-up windows where people can sell fresh food directly to the public.
Okay.
So
like I could walk up on the street?
it would be, exactly. So you'd be able to walk up to the walk-up window and order whatever's being sold that day. Food will rotate.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're not only providing our kitchen space to food entrepreneurs, we're providing retail outlets to food entrepreneurs as well. So we want to talk to folks who are making all kinds of goods.
Ah. Now, Hillary, you were doing a class in here. I happened to be here about that time, and you had said, the class was almost full. Now, there's plenty of room for people, right? I mean, it could still have more.
Yes.
But they've been going real well.
They really have, and we were fortunate when we were originally looking at where we would do the classes. We weren't exactly sure. We thought about maybe upstairs at first on the mezzanine, but then when the classes got so full, we started looking at the former dining room and really utilizing this space, and it's been really perfect for the larger classes. I've actually had a few classes that I had one that had 40 people in it, and there was plenty of room because it's the dining room, so it worked out great.
Hillary now has her Janet Jackson microphone that goes over her ear, so she's able to facilitate hands-free.
Oh, cool.
If you talk sweet talker, she might do a little dance number for you.
This is true. My former life as a dance teacher many moons ago.
So we know she's made it now.
Exactly. She's big time. She's got the microphone.
She's got the jam.
Over at your Janet Jackson microphone.
Yes, I do. Have a little fun with that.
So the mezzanine upstairs, that's part of this area that you guys oversee as well?
Yeah, so if folks who've never been in the building should take a little peek upstairs. One, you get to walk up this beautiful staircase that has a certain drama to it.
Yeah.
And up at the top, you'll find what I think is Roanoke's best hidden gem of a seating area. It's a great spot to take your coffee from Little Green Hive or your lunch from Walk and Roll. It has a giant plate glass window overlooking the rooftops of downtown. A very bright, open, airy space with a beautiful gold dome in the center of it. Oh. There's also a small gym upstairs. Carillion Wellness has a small gym upstairs, which would be another, I think, hidden gym, G-E-M, for downtown Roanoke. English is hard sometimes. Both, I think, are often overlooked, and I encourage folks to take a look up there.
Well, you mentioned, Mark, this used to be the S&W Cafeteria.
Correct.
Right? Tell us a little bit about the history of this building. Like, do you know when it was built?
It's a quirky building. Yeah. It was originally, before it was an S&W, it was a bus terminal. And I have been told that buses would drive in the front of the building, come through, pick up passengers, and drive out the backside. So sometime in the late 40s, early 50s, S&W decided to move from their old location, where Davidson's is now, just a couple of blocks from here, over to this building. And they built a front facade and a back wall, and then filled in the middle space. They did it in a really interesting style. It picks up the international movement of modern design was popular by that point. And it certainly has those elements. You see a lot of chrome, a lot of sleekness, The front is a little chunky with the metal and the very angular chrome work. But then you get inside and you have these really interesting circles that line the banisters of the building that almost have an Art Deco element. Now, this is the early 1950s. By that point, Art Deco had been out of style for 20 years. So it's interesting that they gave a backwards nod with the Art Deco elements and a very forward-looking nod with the modern elements of the building. For design geeks and historic preservation geeks like me, it's a really unique space. And we refreshed it to try and lean into this mid-century elegance that the building has to it.
And it does. It really does. And you mentioned before the interview that you got a new sign to go out front. You did some research on that. Tell us about that.
Right. So there used to be a sign, a vertical sign along the front of the building that said cafeteria for S&W Cafeteria. It was lost to history. Nobody knows exactly when it came down, but it's been gone for decades.
Black Dog Salvage has it.
Somewhere in some far back room, they've got it. We were able to get our hands on the original design, and we had craftspeople out of Nashville actually replicate it. They shrunk it just a little bit to meet modern city code, but otherwise it's identical. We even had a graphic artist out of New York who worked with us to reproduce the typeface, which was of course no longer in circulation, so he had to do it by hand. So we managed to use the original typeface. Luckily, our name Crafteria has the same number of letters as cafeteria, so we were able to use the same structure. Exactly, count it out.
Spell check there.
Right. So it now says Crafteria and replicates what was there historically.
Very cool.
Yeah, a little piece of Roanoke's history that we were able to revive. We're very proud of that.
Oh, yeah, you should be. Well, there's so much going on here with the Makers Market. We've learned a lot about that. The community kitchen. And all these events, and that's very intriguing. All these events that you do, the collaboration with the different people.
Right.
What do you see as what's your vision for the future? Where do you see this going, evolving? What would you like to see?
You know, we want it to be, and I think it already is, Roanoke's largest year-round community of makers, and we think that can just continue to get bigger and stronger. We've been open about 6 months now, so we still have a lot of room to grow. Obviously, we have a lot of space to use in the building, so more events, more kitchen members, more local craftspeople, and I think more ways to connect the community to the people who are making really unique things and lending us their time and talent, and I think deserve our support.
I agree, and there's so much talent out there, as you guys know.
Yeah, right? You find that now. I bet it is. It's
absolutely, and you know,
there.
This is where I think it actually intersects with our Appalachian heritage. You know, Roanoke doesn't always identify itself as an Appalachian city, but it's certainly surrounded by the Appalachian Mountains, and I think it qualifies. You know, for centuries we were cut off largely from the rest of the world. We didn't have the access that other places did, and we had to be creative, and we had to make our own things, and that legacy lives on in our makers today. A lot of them learn their trade from people who were older than them, often relatives who passed it down generation to generation, and you see that reflected in the craftsmanship that is out there on our floor every day of the week.
Yeah. Very, very nice. Okay, well, as we get ready to wrap it up, is there anything else you guys want to bring up or highlight before we get to the big finish?
I would just invite folks to visit us online. Right now our hub is on Facebook. You can find all of our event listings, lots of product photos, lots of fun announcements. Just go on Facebook and search Crafteria Roanoke.
Okay.
And when
Come see us.
Come see us.
Swing by anytime, 16 West Church Avenue.
And when you walk in the front door, HB, you can get you a nice big hot cup of coffee.
Yes, it's very inviting. You see the front, and you come in, and it's bigger than I think you think it's going to be. When you come in, it's very inviting. smells of the coffee and stuff brings me in. I know that.
All right, well, you guys are champions in many senses. So nice meeting you. Thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you again for taking
And I'm very crafty.
Take care.
You
All
wanna
right.
paste together something we can use forever. I'm thinking keychain. Splash me with your hot designs. Dribble me in neon lines.
Use that walkie-talkie and talk to me some crafts.
Let's go walking. Let's get talking. Let's craft talk. Craft talk. You can build me whatever you want. Now make it faster, 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 faster. Work through the pain. Work it through the pain. Now make it faster, 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 faster. I cherish these moments. I can't wait to see it. When you're making crafts, you're spicing up the world. Face it, pretty girl, you're craftastic. You're following no plans, you're building it with hands. Let's do a dance, cause you're craftastic. Let's get together and share supplies. Your craftsmanship deserves top prize. Glue it, cut it, stitch it, felt it, paint it, beat it, dough it, dye it, embroider it, solder it, harder it. Let's go walking. Let's get talking.